Today is such an exciting day, and you might be like, Allison, why is today such an exciting day? Well, it should be a holiday because it's the release day for Emily Henry's new book, A Great Big Beautiful Life, or as some people like to call it, The Great BBL. But I am at my local Barnes & Noble and I'm about to go in and I'm about to get the book, and I'm so excited. You guys have no idea how much I have been waiting to get this book. I have been practically in a reading slump because all I want is the Emily Henry book. So we're gonna go in, we're gonna grab it. I am so excited. I'm so excited. I got it. So when I walked in, I couldn't find it because in my mind, I was like, oh, the Emily Henry book is literally going to be front and center. At the start of, like, you walk in, it's the first table. And it wasn't. And so immediately I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to hunt down the book. I can't find it. And then I walk a little bit further back into the store. I found it just fine. I ended up grabbing like the first copy off of the display. Like, I literally, my Barnes & Noble opens a little bit later in the day. I came 2 minutes after opening because I was sitting around all morning just like, I have to get my hands on this book. I need this book. It's all I could think about. And I now have it and I'm so excited. I ended up getting the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition. The inside is just the most prettiest blue gingham, and then it also came with one of the quotes from the book. So I was like, I have to get it. It costed a little bit extra, but it's Emily Henry, and I've been so excited for this book. So I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna start reading this. And this video is going to be my reading vlog for Great Big Beautiful Life. So I will be giving you guys all of my thoughts on the book as I read it. I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna start reading because I am way too excited to keep talking and waiting when this is in my hands and I could start reading. So the first thing that I need to do, take off that sticker. Barnes & Noble, we have beef. We have major beef. Oh my God. Okay, if you're wanting to get your sticker off your book, I scraped it off and then just used rubbing alcohol to get it off. And now my book is beautiful! But first thing we have to do before we start reading I have an entire house and I always choose the same spot to film in, and I don't know why. I got a package today. I got highlighters to annotate my new book. But I don't have my phone near me, but I literally was writing down last night like the page numbers I wanted to go back to once these highlighters came in so that I could go back and highlight the quotes that I like so much so far. I'm having a really hard time with stickers in this video, but I need to choose which highlighter I want to use. I think I want to do like probably a pink one. But I just need to go through and swatch them. But I got this muted pastel set from Mr. Pin. I got them off of Amazon. They came like, woo, really recommended. I really hope that they don't bleed through the pages. But I think I'm going to swatch these and then I'm going to go through and start highlighting the quotes that I had really liked. So I'm at my kitchen table now. I'm going to swatch the pins and just, oh, that's pretty. Decide which one I want to use, I guess. Okay, let's see if this is going to like smear or bleed through. Oh no, we're good. We are good. Okay. Okay, this is the quote when I realized that me and Daphne are not cut from the same cloth. Daphne, I keep calling her Daphne. Her name is Alice. Daphne is in Funny Story. There are plenty of open tables, but two older gentlemen in matching bowling shirts are sitting at the bar, and I'm feeling kind of chatty, so I head their way. That could never be me. Never. The lighting might be in and out in this clip because our master bedroom doesn't get like that great of lighting. And it's also like an overcast day. Also, don't mind my hair. It's still drying and I need to like scrunch out my like gel cast, but we're not at that stage yet. But we are at the stage of having a book talk. I have hit over the 100-page mark. I'm on page 134, chapter 13. I am losing my mind. The romance in this book. I love Alice. I relate to her so much. She has such a curiosity for the world and she questions everything. And that's just the kind of person that I am. So her and the love interest, Hayden, I'm trying to find the quote. So her and the love interest, Hayden, were talking. And they keep like running into each other around town because the town is just very, very small. They also stayed at the same hotel at the beginning. And then once they both landed like a temporary trial position for a month, she ended up finding a house in town. He's still at the hotel for right now. So she had this whole moment when she first ran into him where she was just like, we're both tall, like our knees keep hitting each other, which I found such a great way to describe the characters and really bring yourself into the moment. She ends up asking him if he's ever dated somebody who is small, like around the height of 5'3", and he's just like, why are you asking this? And she says, it always seemed like physically inconvenient to me before, but every time we're at a table together, we don't fit. So now I'm wondering if somehow evolution did it. And then he's like, did what? And she said, may tall men and short women pair up? Like if you're an exceptionally tall person, does biology just kind of nudge you towards being with someone who takes up less room? For what purpose, he wants to know. I shrug. I don't know. Maybe because you won't have to hunt as much if you're not feeding two gigantic people, or because caves are small and you've got to save room where you can. I have those exact same thoughts. Exact. And then within the same discussion, they're having further conversations about their lives and their childhood and their family history. And Hayden is somebody who comes from a very like high expectations family, and he feels like the black sheep because his brother is all these things. And like this guy won a Pulitzer Prize for a biography that he did with like a celebrity. Alice is just like, what the heck, bro? And he's like, no, I seriously am like still a black sheep. And then she goes into conversations about her family and how she has like a good relationship with her mom, but it's not as great as the one that she had with her dad. And the way that she was talking about him in past tense, Hayden was like, oh, he's passed away. And then they have a conversation of, like, she says, died a few years ago, I confirm. My parents are pretty old when they had us, so it wasn't totally unexpected, but it still sucks. He says, I'm sorry. I force a slight smile in his direction. Thanks. I always feel stupid saying that, he murmurs. I know, I agree, but there's nothing else to say. And honestly, I would say 70% of my friends have pretty horrible relationships with their dad. So even I didn't get mine as long as I wish I could have. I still feel lucky. He says, you are not obligated to, he says quietly. You can feel cheated, Alice. But her response back to that, I just absolutely loved, because she said, but I'd rather think of it like this, like it only hurts this much because he was so great. Which made me really emotional for her to talk to her dad like that. So she was also talking about how she was homeschooled as a child because her sister had all these health problems. And so they didn't go to like a traditional school until high school. And a lot of kids thought that they were really weird because of the things that they knew. Like they grew up in more of like a farming kind of community. So she says that like she knows how to darn socks, alter clothes, cook, can fruit and veggies, garden, like those kinds of things. And Hayden's like, that's impressive. And she's just like, kids at school did not think so. And I really like her thought process with this. But the thing is, none of those kids knew what was going on at home, what Audrey was dealing with. Just like I didn't know what they were dealing with. Most people aren't mean for no reason, you know? Stuff's going on with them too. And then he's like, no, some people are just a-holes. And he says that. And she goes, I know, I say, some, not most. And then he says, you might be the least cynical person I've ever met. I'm not sure I've ever known anyone like you. I narrow my eyes. You mean I'm naive? No, Alice, he replies. If that's what I meant, then that's what I would have said. And there is just something in my heart of him saying that I am just like, I absolutely love that. But he's always competitive because he's always like, I don't want to kiss you because like I'm going to end up taking your job, and I don't want to end up kissing somebody whose job I'm stealing. Like he's very cocky. He can be a jerk. And I find it so interesting how she's writing him, because generally with romance books, if there's a male main character who's like a jerk, I am always like, why is this girl into him? Like, what does she see in him? This is such a red flag. But with Hayden, I don't feel that way. And I can't figure out how she is writing and validating him to not be a jerk. Oh, something else is that when she met him, he was like, she felt like he didn't recognize her, but she recognized him, and she even acknowledged, like, I know who you are, when like they first met. And so she was like, oh, he doesn't know who I am. I just write like celebrity gossip. I don't write anything like prevalent to media and whatnot. And they're having a conversation. And this is where he's like, I'm the black sheep of the family. And she's like, you won a Pulitzer and you're like the black sheep of this successful family? Like, that's insane. And she's kind of like dogging on herself. And that her mom just doesn't like reading her work because her mom just isn't interested in the things that she writes about. And she'd rather her mom like not pretend that she likes it. Like she would just rather her not read it. He says, but you don't write celebrity gossip. He looked her up. He read her pieces. But I am loving this so far. I don't fully know what my rating is. I'm not even like halfway through yet. But I'm at least teetering between a 4.5 and a 5 star. It's at least in my top 3. Like, I'm really, really, really enjoying this. I've hit the part now. I just completed chapter 13. I've hit the part now where she went to Captain Cecil. Is that how you say his name? Captain Cecil? She went to his birthday party, and she had invited her situationship Theo to go with her to like come down and visit, since he was visiting Atlanta for like a business thing. He ended up standing her up, and the entire time she was bragging to Hayden, and she was like, I have a hot date tonight. I have a hot date tonight. We're going to Cecil's, yada yada yada. And Theo ends up standing her up, which was gut-wrenching in and of itself. The quote I'm about to read you, she's like on the phone with him outside, and she ran into Hayden there, and Hayden came and sat down, and she was like, Hayden, I have a date, like, you're gonna need to get up. He's coming any moment. And then Hayden's like, oh, where is he, kind of? And she's like, no, seriously. And then she gets a phone call from Theo. So she ends up taking the phone call outside because it was too loud. And so Theo says, I haven't left yet. She says, oh. I turn back to the window, inadvertently meeting Hayden's eyes. The embarrassment and disappointment bubble over then in the form of stinging tears. I face the street again, urging my voice into steadiness. And she's embarrassed because, like, the night before, a few nights before, she ended up kissing Hayden. And Hayden initiated the kiss and then ended up pulling away and was like, no, I don't need this. I don't want this. And then she was really confused because she was like, you kissed me. Like, I didn't start any of this. And so she's embarrassed by all of that with Hayden, and then embarrassed about Theo. And so she's thinking that she just wants to, like, up and leave the party. But she's like, my purse is inside. Like, I can't leave the party. And Hayden is at the table where my purse is. And she's so embarrassed to walk back in. And so she's really short with him when she walks in. And he's like, is everything okay? And she said, fine. I say, grabbing the strap of my bag. Something just came up, so I've got to head out. Like an emergency? Sort of. I avoid eye contact while I stuff my phone into my bag. Enjoy your night. I hear him call my name at my back. And then she, like, gets out of the party, and it says, I've made it 2 blocks toward my car when I hear him shout my name again. And so, she says, are you trying to embarrass me, Hayden? Shock splashes across his face. What? I stalked toward him. It wasn't enough for you to kiss me, and let's be clear, you kissed me, shut me down, and insult my ability. You had to show up here tonight to what? Ruin my date? Or did you not believe I had a date? Well, guess what? You win. I don't. He's not coming after all. He, like you, changed his mind at the last second. I guess I have the effect on a certain kind of man. So if you're done chasing me down the street to get a good look at my humiliation, I'd love to go home right now and pretend this night, this whole last week, never happened. So he grabs her arm, because, duh. And then he's just standing there, just kind of staring at her. And he goes, I thought you invited me, he blurts. I died. Oh my god. It's like so heartbreaking, but so heartwarming at the same time. And he said, I thought you were kidding about the date. I stare at him utterly shocked. Not because I don't think you could get a date, he goes on gruffly, just because we've been here for a week and a half and almost everyone who lives on the island is a retiree. So I thought when you said, he grimaces, you don't have anything to be embarrassed about here, Alice. I know I'm the one who kissed you. I know I'm the one who shut it down. He thought that he was her hot date. Oh. And then it gets even better. It gets even better from when he said, I thought you invited me. He said, we both want this job too much, he says, even more than we might want, ... I'm worried about the work, he says. Neither of us can afford to be pulling punches here. If either of us doesn't give this our all, we'll regret it, and then we'll resent each other for it. And I don't know if I can handle being the one person on the planet Alice Scott doesn't like. So before that whole confession of, like, not wanting Alice to dislike him, he did finally admit to her that Margaret ended up scoping him out, that she found him probably through his previous biography. Our friend Lynn, like, she reached out to Hayden's agent because at the beginning when Alice, like, met him, she was like, so how did you find, like, Margaret? How long did it take you? What did you do? He didn't want to admit to her that, like, she was actually scoping him out. Alice has been suspecting that Margaret has been lying to her, and she's, like, trying to confide in Hayden and put pieces together and kind of collaborate this whole month. Alice seems very competitive, but she's like going about it kind of in a nice way. And he's finally admitted to that he knows that Margaret is lying to them. He just doesn't know why and what it's about. So I'm starting to wonder if the enemies might start like collaborating. Margaret keeps making these like comments and quotes. I've highlighted some of them. Let me find it. Alice is following a path to, I couldn't figure it out if it's like a greenhouse or something, but it's in Margaret's backyard. And Alice had asked her about it because she's like, is it a maze? And Margaret says there's only one path in and out. It's not quite the game of a maze. You can't get lost. You just walk the path and it won't be the shortest way to get you where you're going, but you'll wind up in the center eventually. Which I feel like is just speaking to like a broader theme of the book, of it being about like going through your life and not like planning it the way that you like, just accepting how it kind of pans out instead of being so rigid on the planning. She also says, because it gives me peace, remembering my decisions don't make much of a difference in the end. And she's still talking about like the path through the garden, which I just find so poetic, and like it's just so much deeper than a romance, and it makes it just like so many layers to enjoy in Emily Henry's books. Like I just love it. Okay, I think I just found my favorite part in the whole book. I am on what chapter? 18. And Alice and why can't I ever remember his name? I'm like Harper. Like all these other like H names. Hayden. Alice and Hayden are at another like cafe. And she said to him, you know what I bet would make it better? He says, what? She said, pink food coloring. And so they have a whole conversation about how pink is a feeling and that she's just so amazed and feels like the world is like playing a trick on us, because during sunrises, the sunrise turns like a bubblegum pink, and like how could a color like that be in nature? His response back is, I think you live in a world that's more interesting than the one most people live in, he says. And just as my heart starts to sink with disappointment, with a kind of loneliness, he adds, and I wish I could live in it too. I feel myself beaming. I'll take you sometime. I'd like that, he says. I need that tattooed on my body. I need it in pink. I need it tattooed on my body in pink. I'm reading my pink book in my pink sweatshirt, highlighting with my pink pen. Like, I love Alice's curiosity so much. Like, I understand how her brain works so much. The ending of the book made me cry. I'm still kind of crying. I feel like this is the exact story I needed to read, like right now. And it's a very crazy feeling, but literally on the last page, the quote, I find myself thinking that maybe every bit of heartbreak in life can be rearranged and used for something beautiful, that it doesn't really matter whether I choose this path or I was born onto it, so long as I stop and appreciate the path itself. And then Alice literally deciding to go home and have a relationship with her mom and writing about her mom's life and her dad's love story. And the whole conversation of her being like, I wish I wrote more things down and recorded and did stuff with her dad to get to know him better. And her mom was like, it's not too late. She says, a month goes by, I garden with my mother during the day, the recorder running as we talk. We listen to music while we cook at night, all of my dad's old favorites. Afterwards, we look through photo albums and watch old home movies. I get why people are saying they're disappointed because they wanted it to be more of a romance, and the romance was a subplot. And by no means did I think the romance was anywhere near a level of like minor subplot that I feel like people are reviewing it as. I just feel like this was a perfect depiction of a very large life. And of course, Margaret's story is just very romanticized, and not even necessarily romanticized, but it's just like Margaret's life and her family is out of touch. And it's an out of touch family and like storyline with that, but there's just so many lessons weaved within it. And like how much Margaret loved so big and so deeply in her youth. Like, I cannot believe that people don't like this book. And I understand that like I am in a time right now where I feel like this book came to me at like the most perfect time to where I could really absorb and understand its message, even though I feel like I can't relay the message to you all because I feel like my mind is just like shocked by like how deeply I feel this. But like, this book was so good. So before I end off this video, I wanted to give like a big wrap up, I guess, of my thoughts of Great Big Beautiful Life. I loved this book. This is a 5-star, 6-star book for me. I thought Emily Henry beautifully captured the importance of relationships in this story. I did not feel like we got too little of Hayden and Alice's story at all. I felt like the subplot of Margaret's life, well, not subplot, the plot of Margaret's life and the plot of the romantic relationship was beautifully done. And honestly, there were some bits and pieces of like parallels between the two. I know some people have been saying that Hayden and Alice's relationship was pretty insta-lovey. I hate the insta-love trope. I dislike it so much. I will stop reading a book because I dislike it so much. I did not get that from this book. Yes, it did happen quickly, but I felt like how it was explained didn't make it feel like insta-lovey, if that makes sense. I felt like they had a connection and an interest in each other that just kind of slowly kept developing, especially since they were out of their normal lives. They were in this beach town, this vacation town. They were both working on something that was really big for their careers, and they both were having difficulties with Margaret and her trustworthiness towards them. I thought the ending of Cecil being the family doctor and Margaret being Hayden's grandmother was crazy, and I was so shocked that I didn't pick up the ending fast enough, because it was discussed that Margaret was like from the public eye for 2 years, and decades before her she had, what was it, like an aunt or a cousin that did the same thing, who gave birth to, I think it was Ruth, and like it was a secret. That was crazy. I also love the ending where Alice went and spoke with her mom and they were very honest with each other. I thought that was very beautifully done, especially with Alice deciding that she wanted to make a memoir of her parents' romantic relationship and their life. Like, I just thought that was perfect. I felt like everything was tied perfectly together in a little bow at the end. I will say the first, like, I would say page 50 to like 75, 50 to like 100 with Margaret's life, it was really like frustrating, and I thought that I actually wasn't going to like the book. because it did kind of get like a little bit boring around that part. But once I powered through, and especially when we got to the part of Laura, Margaret's sister, how they met Cosmos and Claire at a concert, and like, well, they didn't meet him, but they watched him in concert. Everything panned out from there. Laura ended up like joining a cult essentially. Like, I thought all of that was so interesting. And I really feel like if we got a sequel to this book, I would love it even more, like the story even more. Because even though we got bits and pieces of everything going on within Margaret's life, like, it was so heavily emphasized that like this was a 4-week trial period that the writers were going through to like let Margaret figure out if she wanted to work with either or. I mean, she already had the plan in her mind of like Hayden was her grandchild and she wanted to do this confessional with him, like all that stuff. But I feel like if we were able to dive further into Margaret's life, especially everything that went on with Laura being in the cult and in Laura's trial and how she got away with, like, I felt like if we went into even more depth with it, like a sequel would be amazing. Emily Henry doesn't seem to write sequels. I don't think we'll ever get one. I don't think that was like the point of the story by any means. I think the point of the story was about relationships, about going through life and just moving along with it as it, you know, pans out. Like, I thought this was so beautiful, and I thought there were so many beautiful quotes in it. I think this book came at like the most perfect time for me, and I absolutely loved it. Especially, this is on the last page, this quote. I find myself thinking that maybe every bit of heartbreak in life can be rearranged and used for something beautiful. That it doesn't really matter whether I choose the path or I was born onto it, so long as I stop and appreciate the path itself. And I feel like that just perfectly summarized the theme of this story and everything going on between Alice, Hayden, Alice's mom, Margaret, Margaret's family, like all of their lives. Like, I just think Emily Henry is the queen of writing relationships. And I see people's complaints on it, but honestly, like, I just loved this book so much. And I felt like I understood the deeper meaning of it, not being just about like a romance novel. It was definitely more women's fiction. Like, it was phenomenal. So I'm going to end the video off here. 100% recommend you guys pick up this book. I absolutely loved it. Just keep in mind when you're going into it, it's not like a rom-com romance novel. It's definitely like a women's fiction with romance. Like, it's way more about relationships than it is strictly like a rom-com. So 100% recommend. I will see you guys in my next video. This video was so much fun to film. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. But I will talk to you guys in my next vlog. Bye!